This is family number one station, Inspiration 92.3 here in Lagos. My name is Stanley Uche, and doing this with me is Mr. Deji. Good morning.
Hi, Stan. Nice to see you again. And this is our final episode for the year.
Okay.
So we'll be back next year, and we hope to do more next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we're going to have a last wonderful episode for the year today.
Exactly.
Because today we're talking about city governance and the conflicting rationalities that we have. So basically, how should the city be governed? How should those who govern us approach the governance of our city? Interestingly, we had yesterday we were at the Lagos Poetry Festival where we had a session on innovation and the role of artists. And the artists that were there, poets, were asking what exactly is the plan for the city, And I think that conversation, that's where we're going to be taking the conversation.
Okay.
So what should be the plan for the city? How should the city be governed? What's the vision really? Where should we be heading? So you've heard a whole lot from this program the last few weeks, and I have somebody here with us who has been very, very instrumental to a lot of the ideas that we've shared here.
Okay.
She's such a wonderful person, has been so helpful, been dedicated to studying informality and the role of formality and informality in our society. She's Dr. Taibat Lawanson. She's an associate professor of urban planning at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. She also has conducted extensive research on issues relating to urban informality, environmental justice, poor development, and she's particularly interested in how formal and informal linkages can be synced in African urban context. She's presently a visiting researcher at the Habitat Unit, School of Planning and Building and Environment, Technical University of Berlin in Germany. Please welcome. I think we need a drum roll.
Or should I just shake it up?
Dr. Taibat, nice having you here this morning.
Thank you very much. I'm not a visiting researcher anymore. I'm back home fully.
Oh, okay.
At the University of Lagos.
Okay, great.
Amazing
Thank you for correcting that. Doc. Allow me. I think I can call you Doc now. Okay, the conversation is about city governance, and I know you've worked extensively on this. The Lagos State actually has a development plan that was supposed to roll between 2012 to 2025. We are 9 years gone. We are just some few years approaching. We are just 5 years more to go. The development plan, if I remember correctly, states that the plan is to make Lagos a model megacity in Africa, eradicating poverty and infrastructural development is at its core. Now from 2012 to now, how would you like to assess this development plan? Is it in consonance with the realities of the people? How well are we doing on this development plan for Lagos?
Okay, I think the first thing to say is that it's good that we have a plan. So when you have a plan, it means you have a vision. And those who are in authority, the leadership of the city, have an aspiration of where we should be, where we should go. So the Lagos State Development Plan aspires for us to be Africa's model mega city, which is a good aspiration. And they set certain targets based on certain estimates. And they have, to a reasonable extent, achieved some of these things. But there is a fundamental challenge with that plan. It was based essentially, particularly on economic development indicators. Assuming our city is governed or based only on economic indices and indicators. And that's where the challenges come from.
Okay.
The spatial dimensions of development are not, very well articulated or addressed. The same thing for the social dimensions. If you're going to have sustainable development, it entails economic, physical, and social development, and now governance, the governance of the city. And so the development plan has suffered some challenges, mostly because of global issues, outlying issues, but then more fundamentally from the fact that the plan assumes economic indicators, prioritizes economic indicators,
Indicators.
and then ceteris paribus is not a reality. Lagos is too much of a dynamic city. All things are never equal.
Mm.
And so that has, resulted in challenges with that development plan. But it is not a failed development plan. I know that Lagos State government at the moment is in the process of beginning the review of the plan to see how far have we deviated, what has changed, how can we make a city better for our people. And that is to be commended.
Yeah. So in reviewing, I'm happy that it's being reviewed right now. So what do you think we should be looking at in the process of reviewing this development plan? I would have also liked to say specifically, where have we failed in terms of this development plan, or what do we need to do? What have we not done well, and what do we need to start beginning to move on with?
So take, for example, economic indicators, attracting foreign direct investments, that's fine, but foreign direct investments for what? A project like Eco Atlantic City, for example, is a nice, it's a very nice, picturesque form of urban development. But when you ask people, how many everyday people can see themselves in that kind of environment? Apart from the fact that who can afford it, the graphics of it, the aesthetics of it are at variance with our everyday living. How are you going to pound yam, for example, in an apartment in Eco Atlantic City? So that's the fundamental thing. You must look at what is the reality? How are people living their lives? So what can we do to make life better for them? If it's nice for you to have ideas, which is why I talk about, what you said, conflicting rationalities. Of course, government has an idea of where they want to take us to, but they cannot take us to this place without first recognizing how we are now. Identify the reality on the ground and what can we do to make it better? How can we? What do we need to do to move it forward? All right, not so much divorce from the reality and push us in a way that we're not going to go. People will, essentially recreate the city according to their everyday lives.
So part of the realities about Lagos that we know very well, that it's an informal city. It's largely made up of informality. And this is something that you have studied, and you're trying to see the integration of formal and informality in the city. What would you like to say to this?
I think the formal and informal system are mutually dependent. And I think also that Lagos is a city of top down, bottom up. And I think the informal system drives the city. The informal economy is the largest employer of the working population. In
Sorry,
this city.
definition of the informal. We don't want to assume that everybody knows what we are talking about.
All right, the informal sector, in the context of economy, is things that are self-led, community-led, bottom-up, that are not, oftentimes, they lack the official recognition by the government. And so they usually, work on the periphery of the city, and there are usually tensions around recognition and legal status. And that is why essentially you have lots of micro street traders, micro traders working very precarious conditions, slum dwellers, informal settlements dwellers living in vulnerability to eviction. However, this is where majority of the people live and thrive and work. While the conditions may not be optimal, there is room for improvement. But the first stage is to recognize that people are doing these things for themselves. How do we move to making it better? The other thing is that it's important to recognize the agency of the people. Lagos is essentially a self-provisioning city. If we have challenges with electricity, we buy generators. When we move into a community and there is no infrastructure, the residents association takes up the responsibility. And so people are already, manifesting agency. They are manifesting individual and some community resilience. But we need to move it forward to where it is institutionalized. And the first stage is recognizing what people are doing for themselves and bringing, government policy, government effort, and government cooperation into it. I call it collective agency and collective responsibility, where government has its part to play and people have their part to play. We're a communal society. And in moving our development forward, we cannot wish it away. We cannot assume that what works in London and New York will work here. We are Lagos. And so we should recreate our city in a way that we can have the best Lagos for everybody.
Okay, so in Lagos so far, from the development plan and everything that we have seen, it clearly appears that our governance process seems to have been seems to have this centralized process, which makes local governments mere administrative extensions of the state. Should be the role of now talking about the fact that we have communal cities, a communal people doing things, solving their problems in communities. How important or how should we begin to rethink local government administration to actually meet up with this reality?
The challenges of the local government system is not a Lagos problem, it's a Nigerian problem. So it starts from the constitutional recognition of the local government system. The constitution recognizes local governments and gives them certain responsibilities. However, the capacity for them to, implement those responsibilities is lacking, particularly because their funding structure is through the state. So they are merely somewhat an administrative appendage to the state. Now, Nigeria has signed up to meet the Sustainable Development Goals, and most of the targets and indicators will be achieved at the municipal level. As some of my colleagues say, even the president lives in the local government. He has a local government chairman. And so the municipal level of development is the level of development that is closest to the people. Unfortunately, it is incapacitated, and that's why we have a lot of challenges at that level. So the first thing for us to do is capacity building. Those who we give the mandate to lead us at that level must have the requisite capacity to do that. First of all, training. Second of all, financing. Third of all, the legislative and regulatory capacity. Now, in Lagos, everything is centralized at the state. So you have the Lagos Water Corporation, you have the Lagos Waste Management and all of that. If I have a leaking tap, I shouldn't have to go to Ijora. I should be able to talk to the guy at the local government office. Many of us don't even know where our local government secretariats are. All right, and that's what even makes it difficult for the state government to do a lot of the work, because everybody's problem goes to the state. So the state cannot even, settle down to do her own work because she's combined her work with that of the local government system. So we really need to empower the local government, the political office holders, as well as the local government administrative staff. So you have supervisory councillors. The supervisory councillors that are meant to be taking care of blocked drainage in the community, making sure that the football fields in the schools have grass for the children to play and that they are safe and things like that. Not the state level, but it's across the country, and it's a fundamental problem that goes to the constitution and the way our system is skewed. And until that is fixed, development will continue to be a challenge for us.
So it appears like there's now so much focus on mega city projects. Now we've left local government administration, they're just mere extensions, and our focus largely as a city and what we are using to judge our performance it appears to be, okay, which bridge are they building right now? Oh, there's a free trade zone. Now there's this 10-lane project in Ekpe, in Badagry. There's this bus terminal in Oshodi that is massive and so huge, and trying to transform the look and feel of the city. By the way, the bus terminal is not, we've opened it, but we know it's not operating, it's not operational. So what would be so there have been several arguments about mega city projects. Are they clear indicators of progress? Are there anything that we should be concerned about these mega city projects? How should we actually work on this?
So for me, there's nothing wrong with mega city projects if they are fulfilling a need. If there's a need, and they should have urbanization at scale. If there's a problem that requires a mega project to fix it, then implement a mega project. If it's a problem that requires a small community-led approach to fix it, then you don't need a mega project. Mega projects world over, really, particularly in African cities, at least in the last 15 years, have been mostly one, to attract foreign direct investment, and number two, to put our cities on the ranking of global cities. And I have a fundamental problem with that, because the responsibility of every government is to see to her people first, and not to go into this unnecessary competition with other cities.
Global rankings.
Yeah. And so, take for example the Oshodi interchange. It's a beautiful project. It's, architects are looking at it and analyzing it, and so Lagos is part of the conversation, and that's good. Eco Atlantic City also serves that purpose. But what fundamental problem is it solving in the lives of the 26 million Lagosians? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Now, I divorce Eco Atlantic City from the Great Wall of Lagos.
Okay.
The Great Wall of Lagos is a climate change solution that has helped us to preserve Victoria Island. But is Eco Atlantic City the best use of that space? The transfer of our public assets, the Bar Beach, into a very privatized interest. All right. So we don't, the memories we have as children in Lagos, we cannot share, we cannot extend that memory to our children. Because there is no Bar Beach, or Bar Beach as it currently stands is no longer a public space.
Yeah.
So that's one.
It's now become a city for the 1% of the 1%.
Well,
Continue. Okay.
I think the privatization of public spaces in the name of mega projects is problematic, because we should have a city for all. There is a great disconnect between the haves and the have-nots, or the haves and the have-little. So our responsibility and the challenge for us is to try to bridge that gap. How can we create a Lagos for everybody? How can we create a Lagos in which no one is left behind? Now, a lot of conversations go on, and it seems as if it's, we shouldn't have the rich, but the rich also have a right to be in our city. I think the fundamental thing is, how do we create a Lagos where everybody has the opportunities to thrive and to grow, whether they are rich or poor.
She said something about, getting people involved. And someone said, look, I think this whole plan was flawed from the onset, because they didn't, and talk to the people, asking questions like, okay, what do you think we should, where do you think we should take this to? And what are the things we should do to make Lagos better for you and put a smile on your face as an individual and all of that? Do you think that's where the government missed it?
The preparation of that first plan, I don't know a lot of the, of what went on, but I know that this time around the review is going through. It's a more inclusive process. It's a more open process, and even the university.
Let's take this one. Hello, good morning.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Shogun. I'm calling from Yaba.
All right, Shogun, let's go.
The quality of people who manage to get into office. We have seen a political reward system where it is first about loyalty to certain power blocks, not necessarily capability to govern. Many of the problems we have in Lagos today are very basic. You have cross junctions that do not have the right turning radius. You have someone frying akara right at the junction, which exposes cars and even the people, the sellers, to accidents. So when you have cross junctions that are not efficient, you end up having tailbacks, and then there's no discipline. People drive how they like. So you create other problems, traffic problems, and the rest. She said something about the conflict between mega projects and basic projects, street roads, patching of potholes. If you have a local government that is efficient, they'll deal with the potholes when they're still very small.
Okay.
Then the potholes, when they are left for too long, they become mega projects naturally after 2-3 years. The people would have suffered. There's strain on the citizens who are being taxed every day in one way or the other. Cars are going bad. So it's the government of the city must start from the small things. And I think once we start looking at governance from that angle, we'll be solving a lot of problems.
All right,
you know.
thank you very much. Let's move on now to next call. Okay, all right, we lost that one. All right, 0700 923 923 923. Heard what you said.
Yes, I think it's collective agency, collective responsibility. About capacity of those who are in government, it's also important for everybody to get involved.
Yeah, when you say get everyone to get involved, I don't know where I'm coming from. If you dare do that, this road is in front of you, and know it's bad and everything, and you want to fix it, you'll be arrested. Why?
I think, well, go to your local government and start the conversation from that. And then he spoke about the capability of some of those who are coming in. Join a political party. The first stage to getting a place at the table is to participate in politics. So join a political party and be part of the decision makers. Position yourself in a way that you can be selected to lead.
Okay.
You know, a lot of our people are also very big on complaining. All right. So we should kind of also try to shift from complaining to what can I do to change? And let's be strategic about how we are going to make that change. If the process that we have now is to get involved in the political process, then by all means, please get involved.
Well,
if there are other ways to contribute, then get there and do it.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Peter from Ikorodu.
All right, let's have your thoughts.
I love your guest there. He's telling us the truth.
Thank you.
But the basic facts we have on ground is that the Lagos, we are being taxed on everything. Like this land use charge now, it was increased by 400%. They know how to collect from people, but they don't know how to give back to the people. And there is no accountability. And then in the usual this thing, before a project is being awarded or maybe this thing, they announce the amount. When they are opening it, they will announce the amount used in putting the project up. But nowadays, we don't hear that anymore. There's no accountability. I will just talk about the inclusive. The environment is so conducive for any reasonable human being to be included. The problem is that unless you are not, I don't know what you, unless you join them with a bad mind. If even though you join them with a good mind, if you get there, we cannot blend. They will execute you. You can even lose your life in the process. This is what we have presently.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. He's talking about transparency, where before you go on with the project, you come around and you talk about the project. Say this is what we're going to spend, and this is what we hope to achieve with this project. All right. Let's just take one more call. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning. Name and location, please.
My name is Tokumbo from Ikpaja area.
All right. Let's have your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm really very happy, hearing what you guys are discussing. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the quality of materials being used for infrastructure in Lagos. I don't know. I think it's something that is good that, like our dear professor there, I think she should be able to address issues like that. Again, where climate change, we see rain falling. Even as I'm speaking to you right now, it's really wet. And I'm sure it's going to get worse because we're really not doing anything globally around that. So what's Lagos going to do? It's not just about the Great Wall of Lagos that we are talking about here. That can handle a lot of things. But around where I stay, it's like there's no government around here. You understand what I'm saying? So I think they need to address that. And the issue of inclusiveness. We all can be included, even without having to join politics. We all aren't going to be in politics. We won't all be in politics, but people should be included. And I agree so much with the professor about the issue about communality of projects. I believe most of these roads can be fixed, by the community if they are properly monitored, and things are provided for. I think these are the things I feel like sharing with you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. All right.
Interesting observations.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when I listen to people actually call in and talk, I'm very, very impressed with a good number of times, like 90%, like, okay, are people actually thinking and they actually have their own perspective and we really know what needs to be done. On my own side, I would like to encourage a lot more people to get into politics. Let us get more active. Let's do a whole lot more of advocacy. Somebody actually spoke to the issue of transparency.
Yeah,
is also key.
Now, so what about the materials used?
Materials and the quality of
materials,
the jobs that we do.
Yeah,
you understand? It's clearly very much in question. Clearly.
Okay, sorry, this will be our last call.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, you have 45 seconds. Can you do it?
Yes, is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Innocent.
All right, Mr. Innocent, go ahead. Talk to us.
Yes, I want to say that I concur 100% with your guest. She knows the business of governance spot on, and she depicted the picture, what is actually happening in Lagos. She got it quite correctly. The issue is this: how do people with ideas get into power? The present crop of leaders we have right now, I'm saying this, I'm very, very careful about what I'm saying. They lack vision. They lack ideas. If they have vision, then they lack political will to implement.
All right.
Lagos is decaying every day. Lagos is going backwards. Nigeria is going backwards every day. The Lagos I used to know in 1999, it has deteriorated.
All right. Thank you very much. We need to let you go now because of time. Thank you very much. We need to let you go before.
Thank you so much.
All right. So.
Yeah, like I said. Okay. Let's in 1 minute, and Dr. Taibat, can you just give us your last word? What are I would like maybe include low-hanging fruits for the state government in terms of moving on. What do you think we can do quickly to achieve some results in moving the states forward?
Okay, I think for the government, the first thing is to listen to the people. What are the people doing and what do they want? This thing is a collective journey. We have to do it together, government and the people. And particularly for people and with regards to flooding, a lot of it is our fault. We're throwing our plastic into the drains. We're not taking care of our garbage. And that's part of what we...
Some people will ask you the same question. If you want us to take these garbage out, where do we take them to?
Yeah, but we have to be responsible. We have to, we have to be intentional about our city. It's our city. It's not the Lagos State government's city alone. It's the city for all of us. And so we have to be intentional and deliberate about taking care of our city. Beyond, always asking government to do, there are certain things that we need to do ourselves. And the fundamental thing has to do with the rubbish. We need to sort it out by ourselves from our households.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, the conversation continues. You can follow us on Twitter on Rethinking. Say hi. We're at a Lagos Poetry Festival today. We're going to have an exhibition stand there. You could come and see us. It's going to be at in the next 30 minutes. We should be there. We have a stand there. You can come have a discussion with us. What do you think? How can we move Lagos forward? What do you think we need to do? We can come over to our stand there and have a discussion with us. Dr. Taibat, thank you so much for showing up. I know definitely we're gonna be having you next year also on the show. And Stan, thank you for the great job you've done so far, and to the entire Inspiration team, we'd like to say a big thank you. And now this is Deji signing out. Thank you so much.
Emotional right now.
Emotional.
All right, we'll do this again same time. Maybe next year.
Next year.
Or even before that. You never know.
We never know.
Yeah.